Good day, everyone. Now that you have equipped with the knowledge on the parts of a speech, the basic grammar, and also the phrases and clauses, including the sentence patterns, and of course, the subject verb agreements, it is now time for you to develop the skill on the step by step process in writing. I know that writing is a very tedious process for you, but we're going to make it easier and more efficient by incorporating this writing process. Before we go further in identifying the steps in writing, here are statements that you can arrange, starting from the first thing that you have to do when you write your essay. It is probably based on your own understanding or your schema of how did you write your essay in the past. So you may want to label them from 1 to 11 based on your practice. You may pause the video for you to do the task. Okay, you may want to check your output or your order based on the suggested order of the statement. So when you write, it all starts with letter E. I determine the purpose of my paper. So what is your objective and what is your purpose generally in writing the paper? Do you intend to provide information? Do you intend to educate people? So it all depends on the purpose of your paper. And then after which you determine the situation or context where the paper will be used. And of course, you will also determine who will be the readers of your paper or of your essay. And then we follow the other patterns. To have fully understanding on the different processes, let's take a look at the step-by-step process. Here is the writing process. It starts with the preparation, followed by modeling, then generating ideas, focusing a topic, outlining or organizing, drafting, providing feedback, revising, editing, and of course, publishing. Now let's take a look at them one by one. The first step is the preparation. In the preparation, you need to clearly define the situation or context of your writing. Like what is the topic, what is your objective, and the like. Now, after identifying the situation or context, you now need to put the situation within the type of essay. So, what type of essay are you writing? Are you providing cause and effect relationship of the concept or ideas that you are writing? Or are you trying to compare and contrast things? Are you giving definition of something or a concept? Are you doing argumentation technique or others? Just like identifying the process of something. So that is the first. Under the preparation stage, it has been highlighted that you need to have a clearly defined situation. So therefore, you need to know the situation to identify the purpose, the target reader, the writer's persona, the target output, and the topic of the paper. When identifying the purpose, you can ask yourself the question, what is the purpose? Is it to inform, to express yourself, to entertain, or to persuade your readers? And then after that, what is your general purpose? You may ask yourself, why do you want to inform? Why do you want to persuade? Why do you want to entertain your target audience about your chosen topic? So it all boils down to your identifying the purpose and the general purpose of your writings. Additionally, when you identify the situation of your essay, you may also ask, who is your target reader or audience? Which means that you anticipate what your audience knows about the topic, the background they need to understand the topic, the details they need to know, and the format that suits their taste. So basically, you need to have a clear view of who will be the reader or audience of your essay. Would this be students or are they government employees, or do they have position in the government, like politicians, for example? And after identifying the audience, you need to know their background, where it would help you craft an essay that would make them understand the topic. You need to anticipate the details that they need to know. What are the things I do not know yet and that you want to tell them? And of course, a format that suits them. Say, for instance, if they are children or they are elderly, so of course, you need to avoid using highfalutin or technical terms. You may also ask, what is your character as a writer? So you internalize your character so that you will use the language of the character, which means that you need to develop your own style as a writer so that your so that the language that you will be using is your own. Or you may also ask yourself, what is your target output? Do you intend to provide an output after writing the essay? Like, will your essay be placed in a brochure or an article of a magazine or a fiction or generally an essay? Right? And you may also ask yourself, what do you know about your topic? So make sure that it also interests your target audience. So if the topic is interesting to you, make sure that you want that interest be transferred to your target audience or your target readers. Here is an example of how will you be structuring your step number one, identifying the situation. So you may start with the topic first. Example, there are three greatest tourist destinations in the Philippines, and then followed by your general purpose, which is to persuade, and the specific purpose, which is to write an article for an international magazine that will boost the tourism industry in the Philippines. After that, you identify the target output, so it will be placed in a magazine article for this example. And definitely the audience are foreigners because they are the intended readers of the article pertaining to the three greatest tourist destinations in the Philippines. The persona of the writer is a marketing staff, and the level of formality is semi-formal. So when we talk about formality, it's the character of the writer of the essay. And so since it is for a tourist destination, then the level of formality is semi-formal. The second step is modeling. This is the point where you will recognize how the text structure and organization develop to accomplish the purpose. When we talk about modeling, there is an existing text which will you consider as your model, and that is in the same field that you have already explored in the preparation stage. For instance, in the previous stage, you determine that the topic has something to do with the greatest tourist destination in the Philippines. You may want to look for related texts that would somehow talk about these great tourist destinations. You may do some comparison and contrast examinations. You get the idea of those similar nature so that you will be able to reinforce what you have learned in that particular genre. The third step is generating ideas. And when you generate ideas, it means that you have to get or write down all the ideas that you have in mind pertaining to the situation that you had defined a while back. So this can be done by writing or even by talking, right? And the particular process that you can use could be brainstorming, clustering, or free writing. Let's take them one by one. When we talk about brainstorming, it's using just phrases and words, and that you can list anything you can think of about the topic without attention to correctness. So, whatever is related to your topic, you just write them down in phrases and in words. And you can also do the brainstorm alone or with your classmates or with your friends or even with your colleagues if you're in the workplace. And it is more ideal to work with many heads to generate more ideas, as what they say, two heads are better than one. This is how brainstorming looks like. If you want to write it down, you can write the general topic in the first part. Let's say in this example, we have disaster. And then what could be the topic that you can think of regarding disaster? So you can write it down. We have natural, man-made, and management. Now, along with these main topics, you may be able to write down other ideas related to them, and you can cluster them according to the main ideas. For example, for natural, we have tsunami, earthquake, avalanche, and for man-made, we have explosions, radiation exposure. And definitely for management, we can write mitigation, recovery, preparedness, and response. Another brainstorming technique is the free writing, and this can be done by putting on the paper whatever thoughts that come to your mind about a certain topic. Now, what does it mean? I mean, what is the difference between free writing and brainstorming? And the brainstorming, you can do it alone or you can do it in groups now, and you can write related topics to the topic that you are writing. Now, in free writing, it entails a non censoring, non judging, and non evaluating attitude toward writing, which means that you have the freedom to write everything that you want on the paper, and then which eventually would help you in developing your essay. So therefore, the process involves non-stop jotting down of sentences. So a while back, it's in the process. I mean, you write words or phrases in free writing. Just down, just jot down all of the sentences that are related to the topic that you are writing, and there is no censoring or non-censoring and non-judging aspect. The third generating idea technique is clustering, which involves visuals or graphics. It could be in the form of semantic web or concept map. Here is an example of a concept map or semantic web, which is under clustering. So it starts with the general topic. At the center, we have disaster. And along with the general topic, we move to the major ideas. We have management. And on top of that, we have classifications. Now, under classifications, it is divided into two. We have the natural, and then we have the man-made, right? And then it goes, I mean, the ideas gets expand based on the clusters. The fourth step is focusing a topic. Now that you already have identified the topic, the situation, and you were able to generate ideas, we need to get our attention, be focused on a specific topic. So, from the disaster, what specific topic would you like to talk about in your essay? It's just like when you're doing a photography, of course, you do not want to, if you want to make a story, you do not want to just take a capture of the whole scene. You need to focus on a certain detail and you want to provide a story out from there, right? For example, a nature. Of course, you do not just want to take a picture of the whole mountain or forest. Rather, you go into the detail, you focus your attention, for example, on a worm in a leaf, right? And that's where the topic would focus on. In doing this, you ask a specific question about the topic that you have chosen from your free writing, brainstorming, or clustering. So, which aspect of disaster would you like to focus on? Are you going to focus on the natural disasters, or you want to focus on the man-made disasters? And under the man-made disasters, which topic would you want to focus on? Are you going to focus on burning, for example, and the like. And make sure that the question you have formulated is aligned to your specific purpose. The answer to your formulated question will most likely be your preliminary thesis statement. Once you identify the focus of your topic, you are now ready to create your preliminary thesis statement or the main idea of your essay. The thesis statement is the one that is predicting, controlling, and obligating the ideas of your paper. It is called controlling idea because everything that you write in your essay would somehow related to this statement. And the thesis can be further developed and redefined as you draft your paper or when you start working on your paper. The fifth step is outlining or organizing. This is a graphic organizer or a tool for organizing information in a clear and logical order. In an outline, related ideas are grouped together, starting from the broad ideas going to more specific ideas. Then we move on to the sixth step. This is drafting. So once you created your outline and you were able to know what are your the thesis statement, and then your major ideas, and then your subordinating ideas, or probably you provide example, it is now time for you to uh, do your first draft, which means that you are now going to write your paragraphs that would compose your essay. So your first draft will have substantial changes, expect that, upon reaching the final stretch of your paper. And in writing your draft, do not concern yourself yet on the correctness of grammar, spelling, punctuations, and other typographical concerns. So this is the part where you just starting, you are translating your ideas in the outline to an essay without thinking or very critical about your grammar and mechanics of your. Therefore, you just have to focus on the essence of your paper, and that is expressing and developing your ideas. You concentrate on explaining your thesis statement and topic sentence if needed, and then feel free to revise and refine them as you go on in writing your draft. The seventh step is providing feedback. In providing feedback, it could be in different forms. You can do self feedback, peer feedback, or teacher feedback. And the response given to you in your writing is what we call feedback, which focuses on improving the content, style, organization, and structure of the paper. Of course, when you write, you are free to to write your ideas and without being too judgmental of the things that you want to put in your draft. And so you need somebody who will provide input to your writings to make it even better. Okay, let's take a look at the different forms of feedback. The self-feedback is the response you provide to your own writing. You may do this by providing annotations or you do note taking about what you have just written. And for peer feedback, on the other hand, is a response given to you by your classmates, your group mates, or friends whom you trust that you think could help you make your paper more efficient and better. And then we also have the teacher feedback. This is a response obviously given to you by your teacher, and then he or she usually tries to make comments and corrections on the final version of your paper. Most of the time when you're writing academic writings in school, the teacher will give you feedback after submitting your final paper. If time would permit so, you can ask your teacher or your instructor time to read your draft before writing your final paper. And that is if time would permit us to do so. Now, after you have gathered the feedback from your friends, feedback from yourself, and feedback from your teacher, it is now time for you to revise your paper. So this is the process of improving your paper. And it is ideal to allow yourself time before returning your paper for revision. So this break will give you a fresher look at the paper. So the revision would be dependent on the two kinds. We have the global revision and the local revision. Global revision is revising the whole paper, which means that maybe there are objectives that you were not able to meet, or the topic is out of the thesis statement. So that's global revision. The local revision, on the other hand, is revising a smaller portion of the paper. Let's say one paragraph is not aligned with the thesis statement, or there are sentences that are off and they are not related to the topic that you are discussing. Then we move on to editing, which is also known as proofreading. So this is now the process of correcting the diction or word choice, the run-on or fragments, incomplete sentences, the subject-verb agreements, and other aspects of grammar. That would also include checking or editing the mechanics such as the spelling, capitalization, and other typographical concerns. So after editing or proofreading, you are now ready to publish your essay. After all the hard work, you can now celebrate and showcase your finished product to other people. So publishing your work will build confidence on your part as the writer. Now, how will you publish your writings or your essays? Here are the ways on how you can publish your work or your essay. Number one, you can give it to your teacher, especially if that is part of your requirements. You may want to post it in your school's bulletin board for information dissemination. You may also want to submit it for publication in your school organization paper or a magazine if you have one. You may want to read it aloud in class. And yes, by reading your essays in class is already a form of publishing. Or you may want to post it in your social media account, or you may want to create your blog or blogs and you incorporate the writings or your work that you have done. Or you may want to come up with a book or portfolio out of the essays written by each of the members of the class. So by creating a compilation and publish that probably through a book or portfolio, and that could also be considered as publishing. And so that ends the discussion on the writing process. I hope that you will be able to incorporate in these process when we will be writing our own essays in this course. Have a good day, everyone.